Hello Year 4 and welcome to your final writing task for this Roman narrative. What we're going to be doing is writing a verse of a poem, and I've got a poem here called I Am a Roman Soldier, and this has been adapted slightly so that there's not quite so much detail in each verse, so that we can look at some of the skills that we need for writing this kind of poem. So you'll notice with this one that it doesn't rhyme, and as we know, not all poems have to rhyme at all. So this is a good example of one that doesn't, but it's a good example of one that actually gives quite a lot of information about the person who's writing it. Okay, so here we go. I am a Roman soldier, one of many who fight for Rome and for glory. Those Celts are not worthy. Our army is fierce and mighty. The world we will rule with strength and honour. I am a Roman soldier. The sun gleams from shields slung over the backs of my comrades. Our swords clank at our sides. Some choke on the dust as I peer ahead. Celtic warriors are coming, coming. I am a Roman soldier. My mother's voice rings in my head. Come back with your shield or upon it. I wonder if my blood will be dried and brown on someone's feet some day. I am a Roman soldier, and I am sick of fighting. The army surges ahead, and I watch it, shimmering and moving with a rhythm, thousands of blades of grass tossed by the wind. Okay, so as we read through the poem, you can kind of feel the change in feeling and atmosphere and emotion from the start of the poem to the end. So I wonder if you could have a think about what you notice and what words stand out to you and why. So if we have a look at the poem, the first verse is all about being a soldier and being part of the glory of Rome. The next paragraph talks about how hard it is to be part of the Roman army. So your shields slung over the back of your comrades, your swords that you're carrying, choking on the dust as you come ahead, and actually the warriors coming, so the fight that's coming. The third verse is all about, will you be killed? You're going into battle. Are you going to survive? So the fear starts to come. And then the final paragraph, final verse of the poem is saying that you're fed up of fighting, that you don't want to be part of it anymore, that you are just like a blade of grass being tossed into the wind. Some vocabulary that stands out is quite technical, really, and historical. So Rome was all about the glory. You know, they took over so many places, and it was for saying, look how powerful and strong we are. We've got words like fierce and mighty to explain what the army was like. We've got information about the shields being slung over the back of the soldiers, the swords clanking at their side, the fact that they're marching, they're choking on dust, so marching, marching. What happens if you die? You survive either with your shield or you're upon it. So it must be that if you died in battle and your body could be taken, then you would be carried on your shield. So some really good tips there and bits of information and things that we can steal for our own poem. So the task that I'm going to give you is just to write one verse of a poem about being a Roman, and we're going to say I am a Roman instead of I am a Roman soldier. I am a Roman, because I'd like you to pick out all the things that you've found interesting as we've been learning about the Romans. What would be great is if we had your verses sent in to us and we could put them all together to make our own huge poem with all of your verses being part of it. So please, when you've done your verse, send them in to us. We are still here waiting for your emails, so it'd be great if we could see some of your poems. Something that will help you to be successful when you're writing is to think about making sure that some of the features are correct. So each line of your poem is going to start with a capital letter. Now, it might not be a new sentence. If you have a look, there's no real vocabulary and there might be some commas in, but there's no particular full stops. But we definitely need each line to start with a capital letter. Each line is going to begin with a determiner. A determiner is a word which refers to the noun. So the example I've got here is the shield. The determiner is the, and shield is the noun. So the example from the poem is, the sun gleams from shields. The sun. Our swords clank at our sides. Our swords. Whose swords are they? So I've just got a bit more of an example down here. A determiner is a word that goes before a noun and identifies the noun in further detail. And there's different ones that you can use. So you can have articles like our boy, an orange, the cat. You might have demonstratives that are like this apple, that car, these shops, those girls. Possessive, his hat, her homework, my book, their house. Quantifiers, so some rice, each word, every box. Numbers, 1, 2, 3. 3 dogs, 3 shields, 2 swords, 2 soldiers. And question words, which bag, what letter, whose computer. So there's some examples of some determiners, just in case you're not sure about what they are. It'd be really good if you could use some emotion in the poem to get your point of view across. So one line of your poem, if you think about how you would feel about that, if you were the Roman there, it would be good if you can put that feeling across in your verse. Now, when we put all of your verses together, we'll have a new paragraph for each stanza, for each verse. So hopefully if we get a few sent through, I can put them all together and we'll have a completed poem. Think about the choice of your vocabulary. So try and give us some historically accurate language. Things like shields and comrades and swords and Celtic warriors, that's all part of the Roman history. So see if you can try and get some of that vocabulary in. What I want you to do is think about everything you've learned about the Romans, from the eruption of Mount Vesuvius to knowing all about the influence that the Romans had on Britain. And like I said, we're going to write a verse of the poem. Think of 4 things that has interested you about the Romans. So here's my 4 things I've chosen. I've put that the Romans weren't warned about the dangers of the volcano that was supposed to be the great protector. So that's Mount Vesuvius. They thought that Mount Vesuvius was there to protect them. It wasn't going to be a problem, and obviously it erupted and they had no warning of how dangerous that would be. They were the creators of straight roads to get to places quickly, and that is a legacy that they have left in our country. So if you see a very straight road, you're pretty much guaranteed it was the Romans that laid the foundations. They conquered many lands. So that's really, they were very famous for how much land that they ruled over. So that was their empire. So I'm going to include that in my poem. And I'm going to talk about how they were the entertainers of the masses. So they had the Colosseums and they had the gladiators fighting. They're so well known for that, for the entertainment, in inverted commas, that they used to put on. So here's my verse that I've done for the poem. I've put my bullet points at the top there to remind me about the 4 things I want to talk about. And here we go. I am a Roman. The great protector erupted, yet I was not warned. Our armies marched as they built roads straight as arrows. The globe we have conquered one place at a time, but I worry for the people who have been left behind. Our emperors pride themselves on the entertainment they provide. I am a Roman. So if we have a look now at our success criteria, we can see if I've managed to include the different elements of the success criteria. So the first thing was to make sure I had capitals at the start of each line. So if you have a look, I've got a capital I, capital T, capital O, capital T, capital O, and capital I for each line of my poem. You're going to begin each line with a determiner. So I've got the great protector. So the determiner is the, and the noun is great protector. Our armies. Our is the determiner, armies is the noun. The globe. The is the determiner, globe is the noun. Our emperors. Our is the determiner, emperors is the noun. So we're not worrying about the new paragraph for each verse because I need to have your verses to put them together. But thinking about the choice of vocabulary, so in pink I've got great protector, which is referring to Mount Vesuvius. It's what they used to call Mount Vesuvius. Marched. The Romans were very famous for the marching that they used to do. Roads, straight. We know that they built the straight roads. Conquered, emperors, and entertainment. And I've made sure in the turquoise here that I've got a little bit of emotion and points of view in. The great protector erupted, yet I was not warned. So I'm quite cross about that. That's the emotion I'm putting across there. The globe we have conquered one place at a time. So that's really positive. Great, we've done that. But I worry for the people who have been left behind. So I'm giving a little bit of my great that we've done this, but actually what happened to those people with those lands that were conquered? What's happened to them now? So there we go. That's my poem. I've given an example of this poem on the website. There's also the original poem, and there are the success criteria there. There's a blank one if you'd like to fill in your ideas, and there's one that's completed as well so that you can use it as an example. So send me your verses if you can, and if you do, I'll get a huge poem put together with all of our verses. Okay guys, bye for now.